Welcome to Mass Q&A session. If this is your first time of being here, don't forget to smash the subscribe button and press the notification bell so that anytime new videos are uploaded, you'll be the first to know. Back to the question. Today we're trying the question given out by Ekechi Ezinachi. I don't know whether the name I've mentioned is correct or not, but you know yourself. You asked this question in the group, so let's try and solve it. This is the question. If three men can do a piece of work, if three men can do a piece of work in 12 days, how many days? How many days will 6 men do? Will 6 men do the work at the same rate, right? Good. So if 3 men can do a piece of work in 12 days, how many days will 6 men do the work? Now this question is under ratio and proportion. And under ratio and proportion, we have the part called proportion. And under proportion, we have divided it into 2. Now this is the division. It is either the proportion question which has been asked is a direct proportion question or an indirect proportion question. Okay, so before you tackle questions in this format, you have to first find out whether the question is a direct proportion or an indirect proportion question. How are you going to figure out whether the question is a direct proportion question or an indirect proportion question? If the question is a direct proportion question, you should be able to figure out that the change in one quantity, whether it is increasing or decreasing, has to affect the change in the other quantity, whether it is increasing or decreasing. This is what I mean. If one quantity is increasing, the other quantity which is being compared in the proportion should also increase. Okay, and then if one quantity is decreasing, the other quantity given in the proportion should also decrease. That means it is a direct proportion question. But if after thinking about the question, you see that no, when this one is increasing, then probably the other one should decrease. Okay, then it is an indirect proportion question. Now, let's look at this question and figure out whether it is a direct proportion question or an indirect proportion question. As I've been mentioning in the previous videos, I've told you that whenever you're given a word problem question, first write down the data. So let's write down the data here. We have 3 men can do a piece of work in how many days? 12 days. And we are being asked how many days will 6 men do the work. So we have 6 men and we want to know the number of days they are going to use to do the work. Now if you think about a question like this, if 3 men are using 12 days to do a piece of work, okay, and then this piece of work has now been given to 6 men to do you think these men will use more days or few days? You see that this is 3 men, they are using 12 days. So if it has been increased to 6 men, then probably the day should what? It should also decrease. There should be less number of days. Okay, so whilst this has been increased, the number has been increased here, the answer that we are going to get should also be smaller than this. It should what? Decrease. So while this is increasing, the other one should what? Decrease. And this makes the question an indirect proportion question. Hope you get me. Now let's figure out the number of days that these men are going to are going to use to weed the same land, using the same energy, using the same amount of strength 6 men. How many days are they going to use? So now that we've been able to figure out that it is an indirect proportion question, then we follow the indirect proportion formula. And this is how you're going to solve it. If it is an indirect proportion question, you are going to divide the smaller amount here by this one, okay? And then you multiply it by the number of days we have given to you. So this is it. We have 3 men. You divide that by 6 men. And you multiply it by 12 days. Okay? So this men will divide this men, the men will go. 3 divide itself 1, 3 divide 6, 2. 2 divide itself 1, 2 divide 12, 6. So 1 multiplied 6 gives you what? 6. So we have 6 days. Okay, so this means that 6 men will use 6 days to do the work at the same rate. Okay, 6 men will use 6 days to do the work. As simple as that. If you have any question, drop it in the comment box or leave it on our page. We will attend to it. Welcome back. What answer did you get for this question? A piece of work takes 20 laborers to complete in 10 days. How many laborers will complete the same job in 25 days if they work at the same rate? If you have finished solving it, put your answer there and follow me. When we are done, you compare the answer that you get to what you have with you right there. Alright, now let's deduce the data. We say we have 20 laborers. 20 laborers. They use 10 days. They use 10 days to complete a piece of work. And then we are being asked how many laborers will complete the same job. So we don't know the number of laborers here. And then we are saying that these laborers will complete the same job in 25 days. In 25 days. Now looking at this question, if 20 laborers use 10 days to complete the job, how many laborers do you think will complete the job in 25 days? So you see that the number of days has been increased. Okay, the number of days has been increased from 10 days to what? 25 days. Okay, so 20 laborers use 10 days. So it means that the number of laborers that we are having who use this 25 days should be small. Do you get it? Should be small. If 20 laborers are using 10 days, then probably at the same rate, it means the number of laborers that we had who used 25 days to complete the same work at the same rate should be lesser than those that used what? 10 days. So in that case, after solving, it means that the answer that we get should be lesser than what? 20 laborers. Meanwhile, this one has what? Increased. So once the days has been increased, the number of laborers will be what? Decreased. Okay? Once the days has been increased, the days has been added up from 10 days to 25 days at the same rate, the number of laborers should what? Be small, should be what? Reduced. Okay? So in this case, whilst one is increasing, the other one is what? Decreasing. So it still makes it an indirect proportion question. An indirect proportion question. And how do we solve it? It's as simple as that. Just divide the one on top, the smaller one, by this bigger one. That's all. 10 days, you divide it by 25 days, and you multiply it by what? The number of laborers that we have already. So that is 10 days divided by 25 days. You multiply it by 20 laborers. Okay. Good. So the days will divide the days, right? Good. So you see 5 can divide 25. We have here 5. 5 can divide 10. We have 2. And then 5 can even divide itself 1. It can also divide 24. So 2 divided by 1 gives you what? Still 2. 2 multiplied 4 gives you what? 8. So we have 8 labors. 8 labors. So you see that the number of labors that we got who are using 25 days to weed the same piece of land at the same rate with the same energy is small, okay? It's smaller. 8 is smaller than 20, okay? So that is how we solve the indirect proportion questions. So after getting your answer, you conclude as 8 labors will complete the work in how many days? In 25 days. In 25 days. Do you have any simple means of getting to the answer? Leave it in the comments or post your answers in the group page or in our Facebook group.